From the floor of the CME Group, this is Danny Riley on today's Cash Close. And the name of this video, traders, the S&P 500 and day one of the Fed's two-day meeting. And Apple, of course. The high of the day in the S&P came in at 2063.75 early. The low came in midday at 2051 quarter. And last, were 2085 half. We're down 4.25 handles. Total volume, we've got 1.1 million minis traded, and we've got 3,500 big S&Ps traded in the pit. The MIM, we're going a little early today. The MIM is showing right now about 350 million to sell. You know, there's too much time here. There could really be a MIM flip before the end of the day. Tomorrow we've got the MBA mortgage applications. We have the EIA Petroleum status report. We have a 5-year note auction, and obviously the Fed, the announcement of the Fed's two-day meeting and all its interest rate stuff. Now, look, like I said, we're going a little early today. The global markets were weak. That kind of bled into the S&P, but to tell you the truth, I think what's happening here is we're seeing a little bit of profit taking as we go into as we conclude the two-day, or as we go into the two-day, second day of the meeting, excuse me. Now, look, even though the S&P is sold off, the overall price action really hasn't changed here. Even on today's dip when we sold off, those bids came fluttering back in, and then the S&P recently just popped up to 2059. We're 2058 half last. You know, and at the end of the day, it seems to me that these buyers are still very willing to buy the S&P on these little pullbacks. But that said, I think in what would be healthy for the S&P right now is a larger decline. Get people a little bit more short. There's still a lot of time here in going into the end of the year, and I think that's going to play out at some point. But anyways, that said, the overall tone of the S&P is very, very friendly right now. Now, the other part about the big emphasis today is Apple. And Apple, they've kind of been talking Apple down a little bit. You know, they've lowered the bar. And to tell you the truth, I think Apple's going to report. I think they're going to surprise everything. I think they're going to report better than expected earnings. Now, here's the deal. I do think the S&P is going back to 2085. But you know what? Everybody's very bullish right now. And you've got a total of 150 names in the S&P 500 reporting this week. And we're only in day two of a 5-day week. So you know what? There's going to still be a lot of trade here. And I think as the week plays out, we got to get past the Federal Reserve stuff tomorrow. And then I think you're going to get a better look at these earnings as we go into the latter parts of the week. But that said, you know what? I think we need a pullback, but the markets aren't doing much of that. And I'll leave it like that. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the opening print.